What if success wasn't a mystery, but a method? In this jaw-dropping episode of Money 911, I'm your host, Kris Miller, and I welcome you to one of the most captivating thought leaders of our time, Bodine Balasco, a Fortune 100 keynote speaker, behavioral scientist, champion athlete, and award-winning magician. Yes, he does it all. And today, he's revealing the real secret to transforming your vision into reality. Bodine shares how to tap into the structure of vision, a proven science-based approach that has helped thousands elevate their energy, ignite their ideas, and follow through with unstoppable momentum. This isn't your typical motivational chat. It's a master class in manifesting greatness, grounded in behavioral psychology, sprinkled with laughter, overflowing with truth. You'll learn why most people fail to activate their dreams and how to fix it. The 3 forces that bring your vision to life, how to build your own personal roadmap to results, why vision isn't woo, it really works. Tune in to this transformational conversation and discover how to turn what's possible into what's real, starting today. Make sure you share this with somebody who needs a breakthrough. All right, Bodine, it is a complete honor and pleasure to have you with me today.
I feel the same way, strangely enough.
I just get so elevated and we have so much fun when we talk.
Yes.
I just wanted to drive, right into it. You say vision isn't hope. It's a system. So maybe you can unpack what that means for someone that's stuck.
Yes. Actually, the title that I use in sharing this information is called Vision Creates Reality.
Right.
But, it's a very specific approach and methodology that's very easy to use, no matter your current frame of mind. What I found, first of all, I went to UCLA on an athletic scholarship. I graduated, was training for the Olympics. I injured my Achilles tendon, couldn't train anymore. I was waiting tables to make a living, wondering what I'm going to do for a living. And then I saw a magician one night come into the restaurant and perform sleight of hand magic. And they comped his meals and they comped his drinks, and he had a crowd of people around him all night. So I said, man, if I could learn that, I'd be set for life and free as a bird. So I quit my job that night. I went to the library, checked out 6 books on sleight of hand magic. And 6 months later, I was making my living as a sleight of hand magician. And I did that for 10 years. And I was doing really well at luncheons and banquets for corporations, be the guy that would get up and do 30 minutes of fun entertainment, make you laugh, do some magic. And what happened was one of my corporate clients who had me at their luncheon, and I got a standing ovation as an entertainer, called me on the phone. And he said, we're having this big sales meeting in Chicago, and we want you to come and do your entertainment. And I want you to tell some stories about customer service. And I said, well, I don't have any stories about customer service. And he said, well, you got 6 weeks, man. Meaning, go get some stories about customer service. So I went and researched and got some stories about customer service, wove them into my entertainment in front of 300 top sales professionals, and I got a thunderous standing ovation. I came home, I told my wife, I said, maybe this is the direction I should be going in. So I started to do this combination of telling inspirational stories and information and also doing magic. It was a combo deal. And then about 2 years later, 3M called me and said, we've seen you perform, and every year we do a 4-hour life development workshop for our top managers, and we would like you to put in a bid. And I said, well, I don't have a 4-hour life development workshop. And she said, well, would you like to put in a bid? And I said, well, as long as you and I both know I don't currently have a 4-hour life development workshop, I'll put in a bid. So I did some research and I put a proposal in that, the saints themselves could not come back and deliver this thing I had promised. And I let it go. And 2 weeks later, she called me and said, I have good news. And I went, oh, no. Meaning now I'm going to have to do this thing that I promised. And it was the most demanding. I didn't sleep for 2 nights, literally, the night before that thing. Right. And I did 4.5 hours, got a standing ovation, got hired again. And this is the long intro, but it was at that point that I said, this is the direction I'm being asked to go in, right? And so right then and there, I decided to go on a wisdom hunt. And I said to myself, I need to find the best, simplest to do, most effective information for affecting change in your life in the direction you want, easily and positively and almost even effortlessly. I went on a wisdom hunt, and I was still doing these combination presentations of entertainment and magic. And for 10 years, I researched and I called and I met experts. And 10 years into that, I ran into 2 geniuses that had discovered what I was looking for. I found the center of the bullseye, and it's something called the generative creative process.
Right. Well, I sat right next to you when you were doing some of your sleight of hands.
Yes.
Just looking so hard, like, how does this guy do this?
Yeah.
You're just amazing. Not only that quality, but you wove in conversations and you wove up uplifting, things that the whole group that was there was just uplifted, hilarious, laughing, and I could tell you had the shift, right? And that really is, a lot of people have the dreams. And so what would be the number one shift that you could share with them that they could do just to start, right?
Well, the number one thing, well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. I'll try and we'll keep the conversation short. I needed to give you that long introduction to let you know, where I'm coming from with this. And the thing is that what I found was, a lot of self-development material, you have to do a lot of stuff on yourself and change your attitude and all of this before you can even begin to get new results. And I'm all in favor of that. All right. But I wanted to find something to where even if I'm angry about my life, even if I'm disappointed in myself, even if I'm challenged and I'm feeling like I don't know if I can move forward, even if I'm suffering from low self-esteem, even if I feel boxed in, I wanted to be able to find something that you could use tomorrow. Because I really believe that instead of changing your attitude first, which is great and is necessary, get some results. And that will change your attitude automatically in a way that is just wonderful. So when I found the generative creative process, it's really built on not catering to your current emotional state. It's about generating leverage right now that you can use no matter your attitude or your frame of mind, and you will get results. And then that changes your attitude and your frame of mind. And then they begin to interchange, right? They begin to self-reinforce. Right. And the generative creative process starts with, what is it that you want to create? The question is, from this point forward, right now in your life, and it doesn't have to be big, and it can be small, it doesn't matter. It's just an authentic question, asking yourself for an authentic, immediate answer. Right here, right now, what is it that you truly want to create. And what happens is that question to yourself activates the first part of what is a 4-part structure that gives you leverage to begin creating what you want. It activates your mind and your energy in a positive way, no matter what your current attitude is right now.
You know, you're that vision that you teach, it's literally generating an energy, and like you said, it's neurological, emotional. What role does like belief play in the vision process, you know, overriding the old patterns of doubt? You know, like I know just now this may be something a little different than what you're talking about, but I know that when I wake up and I just like start the day, I just stay in gratitude, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, thankfulness. We can talk about thankfulness for 2 hours. I'm really like, may I go through the other 4 steps?
Well, that's what I was wanting. I didn't want to go off onto the gratitude.
No. We need to do one show on attitude. But the thing is, once you decide, once you ask yourself a question, what is it that you want to create? So, for example, when I was waiting tables and I saw that magician, and I said, that's what I want to do. What it is that I wanted to create was I wanted to learn sleight of hand magic, right? Now, there's a very interesting energy that develops when you give yourself a second reference point. The first reference point is, what is it right now that I would really like to create? The second reference point, which starts to generate the energy, is, where am I now relative to this outcome, this goal that I've chosen? What are my resources? What is my current reality? What are my circumstances? Right. So you're getting, you know, very involved in your mind in terms of something you don't currently have that you want to create. And at the same time, you're rooting yourself into the reality of your life by saying, what are my current circumstances? What are my current resources? Now, when you do this, you create a gap. You create a gap between those 2 points of reference: desired result, current circumstances. And your system responds to that gap with a form of energy called creative tension. Let me show you this real quick. Over here, I have current reality. Over here, I have desired outcome. Over here, current circumstances. And what happens is, when I define these 2 points of reference, I create a discrepancy. And your body responds to this discrepancy with a form of energy called creative tension. Now, tension seeks release. And for the first time, we know the true nature of commitment. Because if I don't commit, this rubber band, this tension energy generated by the discrepancy has to resolve itself. And if we don't commit to our outcome, it resolves itself in this direction, where we allow our goals to erode, which we're all very familiar with in our lives. If, however, we get clear on our desired result and our current circumstances, and we generate this tension energy, which must resolve itself, the human system responds with this energy. And if we go now to the desired outcome, and we say, before I know how I'm going to do it, I commit, this is what I'm going to create. Now the tension energy has only one way to resolve itself, and it must, by giving you energy, creative ideas, and focus to move your current circumstances closer and closer and closer to your desired result. And if you maintain your commitment and you continue to examine your current circumstances, maintaining the discrepancy and building a movement from where you are to where you want to go, and you maintain your commitment this entire time, you will resolve this energy, and it's energy that becomes available to you that has nothing to do with your attitude or anything else. It's part of the way the human system works. And all it requires is a clear outcome, a clarity of current circumstances, and a commitment to create what you want before you know how you're going to do it.
That's great. So it's like energy, ideas follow through. They're the driving force of the vision.
There's a driving force that gets generated within you when you use this simple process, and it works the first time you use it. And I have some material on this that you can send out to your viewers, and I can get it over to you. I have some simple material on this that'll make it very clear to them, because it is the best thing. I went on a 10-year wisdom hunt, and I was turning over all the stones and reading all the books, and I love them all.
Right.
But this is the simplest, most powerful process I've ever discovered for creating desired results at any time in your life.
A lot of people read, as a man thinketh, that kind of what distinguishes is similar, or it's just something completely different. As a man thinketh, so he is. A lot of conversation about that. How do you position what you're talking about inside of that?
Well, for example, for the longest time, even in the elementary school district in California, they were spending a lot of time helping youngsters. They were promoting an effort to help youngsters with their self-esteem. And they got into a lot of these self-esteem programs. And, those are nice and everything, but increasing your self-esteem does not increase your capacity to create chosen desired results.
Yeah.
The essence of what we all like to do and what we want to do is, as human beings, is to wake up and engage ourselves in creating the results we care about. Right?
Yes. It's so important, because what are we here for? Our assignment and
then we have these, we have a lot of what I think are really advanced spiritual ideas about altering our beliefs and our thoughts, and I'm up to my hips in all of that. But that is to augment this basic structure. We as human beings are the creators on the planet. We are the ones who created art. We are the ones that were given a thumb that opposes our fingers, that allowed us to create tools, right? And we are the creators, and we evolved to have this system. This system activates the creativity that you possess as a human being. That's the thing I love about it.
Is this what you've used, all through your life to make you a record-breaking athlete, magician? I mean, you've had experiences of peak performance. So what's the first step for somebody? Just, bringing it down a little bit.
I would say you sit down and you get a pen and a piece of paper, or if you're really committed to, texting on your phone to yourself, a note, or on your desktop computer, and sit down and ponder the question. Right now, in my life, what is it that I would really like to create? And you answer the question of how good can I stand it? Because when you first start using this process, you want to do something that is relatively simple, that you could do if you put your mind to it. So the question is, what would I really like to create right now that I think if I put my mind to it, I could do it, right? And you write that down at the top of the page. Now, at the bottom of the page, you say to yourself, what relative to what I've just chosen, what are my current circumstances and what are my current resources? Well, God, I have a job that I have to work 9 hours a day, 5 and sometimes 6 days a week. Well, write down how much free time do you have to devote to creating something new. Maybe you have only 90 minutes every Saturday and Sunday. Write that down. I have 90 minutes every Saturday and Sunday. This is at the bottom of the page. You're doing the process that's going to create the discrepancy between what you want to create and what's your current circumstance and resource, right? So maybe you have to, maybe you have to buy some software that costs $40 a month, right? Well, you have to determine how much relative free income do I have to spend on this project? And if I don't have that money, I have to figure out something else. But whatever it is, if you create this discrepancy between I'm choosing to do this and this is my current circumstance. This is why, some of these programs about self-development, they don't take into account that everybody at a self-development workshop is in a different circumstance with different resources. And you, with your different circumstances, with different resources, your mind is going to have to figure out a different path that's unique to you on how to get from where you are to where you want to go. And guess what? The creative tension energy from the rubber band that starts to resolve itself when you get clear on these two reference points, and then you commit. You say to yourself, I now choose to create this result, even though I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, because I realize I'm activating a system and some energy that's going to give me the ideas and the energy to create the path from where I am and where I want to go. And when you once you start on the first simple steps, you build momentum in this energy being released. And if you maintain your commitment, it will continue until you have resolved that discrepancy. And at that point, your current circumstances equal and include your desired result. It seems so simple, and yet it's so powerful. And it's powerful because, and I got reams of research on this, it's powerful because this is the way on the fundamental level that the human system works. We are the species on the planet that that are creators. We are the creators. We are the ones that do art. We're the only species that does art, right? And music, right? And this is that, I've done 4-hour workshops with 300 people, and we go through this in 4 hours. And I have people call me and say, I saved my marriage. My wife moved out like a month ago, and my goal at the workshop was to, restore our relationship, right? And she had just called and demanded a divorce, and I thought, oh, I can't do it. But I went and I did the process anyway. And I called her on the phone. We spent all night having dinner, and she's going to move back in. So it's about anything that you want. I had a guy that had built a resort on one of the islands in the Caribbean, a wealthy guy. He had every dime in it. And it didn't succeed. He needed some bridge financing, and he called everywhere and couldn't find it. And he was like a week from losing his money and his property and his project. And he used this process, and he was guided to a bridge financing group he had never heard of before that gave him the money needed and saved his project. I have many of these stories. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. If you're human, this process is going to help you immediately.
That's amazing. So how do we protect our visions from all the distractions and
Yes. The one, yes. I think that part of the resource is in the release of the creative tension. But the other thing that I really believe in is a couple of things. And one is once you know what your desired result is, your goal, your outcome, and then your current circumstances, the next step is you say to yourself, what steps do I need to take? What tasks do I need to complete in order to, build the path and move along the path to resolve this discrepancy? And what really helps is purpose.
Yes.
Purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you think of a goal that you really want to create. You get really clear on your current circumstances and current resources. Then you go back to that goal and you write down, you say to yourself, you drive this stake into the ground so the tension energy can only be resolved in one direction. And you say, I now commit to creating this result. The next thing that is so powerful for human beings is, why do I want to do this? I know this is what I want, but what's the purpose? What's the real underlying purpose? If you have a goal, that's one thing, but you have a goal and you know what that purpose is for that goal. That's something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's purpose. And then the other thing I would say in response to your inquiry is focus.
Mm.
We live in an age where focus is a superpower if you can do it. We are hit. I go to a gym an hour every one of those big, huge gyms that's the size of a warehouse, and every machine available you can use. I go to a gym every morning for an hour, and there are so many people who go to the gym and they sit there on their phones. Right. Rather than exercise. Now, I don't judge people, but the thing is that what's the goal? What's the purpose? And can you focus? And we just have to learn to focus. We have to say to ourselves, I've got this task. I got my desired outcome. I got this goal. This is something I really want to do. And I know what the purpose is. I know why I'm doing this. And now I know where I am. And this can be really, sometimes, when you do this discrepancy between this is what I want to create and this is where sometimes it feels like the Grand Canyon.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, this is what I want and this is what I have. And we can also get into a thing of this is what I don't have. And we just want to focus on what we do have. And guess what? The larger the discrepancy between your outcome and your circumstances, the more the energy, right?
Yes.
If I got this much discrepancy, I've got this much energy. But if I've got this much discrepancy, this is what I want, and this is where I am, I've got more energy than ever. And that's the one thing we realize is that our body responds to the discrepancy with the energy you need to drive yourself forward from where you are to where you want to go. Again, with the power of redundancy, please allow me to say, we are the creative species on the planet, and this is at the core of our creative capacity.
Right. And I totally agree with you because I've in the last, this time in my life, I decided I wanted to live my legacy, not leave a legacy.
Yes.
A living legacy is what I'm leaving wherever I go. And that changed me. Now, the idea of helping millions of people, like I keep seeing these little sheepies about to go off a cliff. So that inspires me because I have something that can help them. But that gap and that tension that you're talking about, I'm watching because of that, everything you're saying with that intent or that target, things are showing up, like you showed up, or different people are showing up with different.
Oh, yeah. This stimulates, this creative tension stimulates physical energy, creative thought. One great creative thought can reduce half of the tension and move you halfway from where you are to where you want to go. But it also, you bump into people that are exactly the person you need to talk to do your next thing. It has some kind of special capacity to move some of the forces of life that we don't completely understand.
It's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah,
It's exciting because it's like, what's going to
yeah.
happen today? Who am I going to run into? And that imagining, it's just like, there it is right there.
And if you and I think, this is why we had that immediate rapport when we first met, is that you're on purpose.
Yes.
You're living your life on purpose.
Yes.
You have clear goals and you have a purpose.
That's
And
right.
if you have clear goals and you know what your purpose is, and the purpose does not have to come from a book or something idealistic.
Yeah.
It's your own purpose,
Right.
right? It doesn't matter. It's only that it means something to you. It's the meat. Why is this a meaningful goal? Answer that question, and you are now imbued with much more creative power. And then you add the creative tension to actually help drive that. And it's the energy leverage, the creative leverage that we all need. And guess what? You don't have to change yourself to get started using this. When I was first, I started out. I went to UCLA and got a degree in speech communications because I've always had the gift to talk in front of groups. I gave a sermon at our church when I was 13. Surprise, surprise. So I went to school, but I was training for the Olympics. So I didn't really know what I wanted to study. And I really wanted my studies to be secondary to my athletic pursuit, which the school was paying me to do. And so I discovered that I could get a degree in speech communications. And so I did. I never thought I would ever become a speaker, but that's a really strange and interesting thing, right? That was a secondary aspect of this goal to become an Olympic champion as a distance runner, and when I got out and I decided to become a magician, I quit my job. Now, I don't recommend this sort of thing to people. I was free as a bird. I didn't have any obligations to anybody, and I had some money saved up, so it was free of risk, really.
Right.
But I created this enormous discrepancy. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you look at your life, this is to just politely to everybody that might be within the sound of our discussion. If you look at your life, and you will notice that this has always been in play intuitively whenever you look back when you got good results. Think of, in fact, the best thing to do before you sit down to do any work, think of when you got results, because that brings access to your brain and your emotions. When you think of when you want to do anything, think for a few minutes when you got a great result, because then you're accessing your own resource state, right? And if you think about it, understanding this structure I've just shared, you'll see that you were anytime you got great results, you were using this structure intuitively.
Yeah, right.
But we move it to explicit awareness, and we can use it as a method rather than just intuitively. It becomes very, very powerful.
All right. We could talk forever here. So just maybe you could let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, invite you to be at their event or speak and do your cool magic tricks.
Oh yeah, I'm always I'm very focused on, do we have a little time or are we closing out?
We have a little bit.
Okay. I'm very focused on the neurology of events and the neurology of success. And what neurotransmitters are you stimulating inside your brain? And there are 4 neurotransmitters that are generated and dropped into your bloodstream that communicate to your body. And there are 4 feel-good neurotransmitters that make us feel great, make us feel motivated, make us feel connected to other people. And there's specific behavior that stimulates these neurotransmitters for ourselves. And so I've created an entertainment experience that stimulates the 3 top neurotransmitters in the audience, in the brains of the audience. And they get lifted up. Laughter, generates endorphins, right? And interaction with someone in the audience is involved in the laughter, generates a specific kind of a serotonin release, which makes us all feel bonded to each other. So I do a lot of that, but I also do a combo thing of entertainment and this information. And so I would say right now, if people wanted to really understand this rubber band metaphor about the energy of the generative creative process, they can go to bodine.net/breakthrough-secret. And you can, put that in when you broadcast, you can put that down in there. It's bodine.net/breakthrough-secret. And it's a 7-minute video that makes this structure very explicit. I also have a workshop. I help groups that are helping people who are in trouble, right? And I do it for free, as do some of these groups. And I come and teach the people who are in trouble in their life for one reason or another. I teach them this process.
Wonderful.
And I have a workbook on this that I can send you, and people can, they can contact you, and you could email it to them. It's a PDF.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. We definitely will share this and continue to develop the behavioral health that this can provide. And my business partner and another business that I have, she works with behavioral health. I mean, this is so neat.
Oh, yes.
Needed.
And it works. It works immediately, and you don't have to change yourself. And when you use it, you automatically change yourself. I mean, your attitude improves.
Yeah.
There's nothing that improves a human being's attitude better than make a simple goal and achieve it.
No, exactly.
That's best.
There's your purpose, and it makes you feel fulfilled and useful, because we all want to be useful, and we all have an assignment. It's fun.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is I've been very influenced by Carol Dweck's growth mindset. And what she is saying, and I've been really focused on this in my own life, is that, and this has to do with neurotransmitters too, one of the most powerful, it's controversial, but one of the most powerful neurotransmitters is dopamine.
Right.
In fact, dopamine is the motivational energy, dopamine. And we can intervene and actually stimulate our own dopamine release when we need motivation, if we do it right. And part of it is the growth mindset, where Carol Dweck did, and the studies go on forever. They're fascinating, but we don't have time. If we shift our focus on the end result is our reward, to the effort to get the end result is our reward, we stimulate dopamine, which allows us to really, it stimulates our action. It motivates us in the effort. So we love the effort of getting to the end result more than the end result is the secret to achievement.
That's it right there, because there really is never a there.
That's right.
$10 million, and there's never a there. It's the journey, and enjoying the journey, and along the way meet people like you and all of these wonderful things.
And then the neuroplasticity of the brain. The brain is always adjusting based on the way you behave and think. Your brain will begin to facilitate the dopamine to where whenever you have an effort that you have to do, you have the energy.
Right.
Because you've shifted your focus and your brain has adapted to facilitate that shift. It's an amazing, this is new research, really exciting stuff.
It's amazing. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to talk about this with somebody that's, in wisdom about it. Just as a gift for the audience, maybe just give them like one step or one thing that they could do when we close out here, later or whatever, that could help them.
I would say that when you sit down and you answer the question, what immediate kind of small thing that would I really like to achieve? What have I kind of been putting off that I would really like to complete it and achieve it right now? And you write that down, stop for just a minute and make a mental picture of it being completed in your brain. Visualize the result and answer 3 questions. If I were to succeed at this, what would it look like? What would it sound like? And what would it feel like? Right? And the sound like that works for me is, what would someone it's really important to me in my life say to me once I really achieved this? Like, I really like to know what my wife will say to me when I achieve something. And when I put that auditory, I hear her saying it to me in my brain.
Right.
That is very, very powerful.
That's wonderful. Bodine, it's so fun to talk to you. We're going to do this again. And we'll provide in the show notes, you'll send us over whatever the workbook is. And then.
Yeah. And there's a 7-minute video that makes this really clear.
Right. And we'll be able to, people will be able to reach out to us with all the information in the chat notes, and they can reach out to you directly too. And we will just be so grateful that you've been with us, and thank you so much.
Oh, it was nothing but a pleasure, Kris. I tell you, I've been looking forward to it since we met.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just sort of an intro. So I look forward to developing this and be able to help lots of people with what you're talking about, bring it down to earth and heaven on earth.
Available to you and your listeners anytime, as much as you might desire.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Okay. Take care. Bye to everybody.
Yeah.
That was more than a conversation. It's a call to action. Bodine reminded us that our future isn't written by chance. It's written by choice. When you align your vision, the world begins to bend in your favor. Your energy shifts, your path becomes clear, and your results, they become inevitable. So what's the vision you're ready to claim? Say it, feel it, build it. You were born to create something beautiful. If this episode sparked something in you, share it. Tag someone who needs this truth. And let's keep this ripple of transformation going. This is Kris Miller, sending you love, light, and total belief in your power. Until next time, stay safe, stay inspired, and keep walking towards your highest life.
There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.
The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power to bless lives inside.